Welcome to the Michigan Golfer Show. Join us each week as we explore the people, the places, and the events that shape our great game.
Hi, I'm Jenny McCafferty for the Michigan Golfer, and we're here at lovely Boyne Highlands, the Heather Golf Course. We're here for the Golf Association of Michigan's Michigan Amateur, which is one of the highlights of the golf season here in Michigan. And with us is Chris Whitten, who's the kind of brand new executive director of the Golf Association of Michigan. How are you doing, Chris?
Yep, doing great. I'm just like all the players. We're very, very happy to be here this year.
Well, Chris, we'd like to talk a little bit about where you're from. You're from Rockford, Michigan?
Right. Yep, Rockford, Michigan, just north of Grand Rapids.
And you're a member of the Rockford High School Athletic Hall of Fame. Congratulations on that.
Thank you. It was a special day with a bunch of my friends and former teachers there. It's really fun to see everybody.
Well, Rockford has really a special place in Michigan athletics for several reasons, one of whom is Dathan Ritzenhein, whom we followed for a few years, and he's also in the Rockford High School Hall of Fame.
Right. Distance running at Rockford, water polo and swimming, obviously football and basketball. They've got a rich athletic tradition there for sure.
Sure do. It's a great one to come from. And then you went to Notre Dame.
Went to Notre Dame 2 hours down the road and had a really special, great experience there. Notre Dame's a unique place, and it was a great fit for me.
Well, I have to say one thing. My dad is a Notre Dame alum, and unfortunately, he never got to see the Warren Golf Course.
Right. The Warren course opened midway through my junior year. And it was so interesting because they let the golf team go out and play before the course was officially opened. We didn't know which hole was number 1 or which one was number 13. And so we would go out in the afternoon and just pick the next hole closest to us and go play. And it was like our own private playground there for a while. But they did a phenomenal job on that course.
Oh, it sounds like fun. What do you think of the course?
Knowing what the property was before there was a golf course there, it was football parking field for 2/3 of the space. And Ben Crenshaw turned it into something pretty special, I think. I mean, they had a USGA championship there with the seniors last summer. So they've done just a great job with it.
So that's a nice legacy to have from Notre Dame there.
Right. Yep. It was. I was very, very fortunate to spend 4 years there. Yeah, my wife and I both, we went to high school together. We were in grade school together. We both went to Notre Dame, and we still have family there. So West Michigan's always really going to be home to us in a lot of ways.
Well, Chris, you kind of come from golf royalty in Michigan. Your dad, Buddy Whitten, is a member of the Michigan Golf Hall of Fame. Tell us a little bit about your dad.
My dad's, mom and dad originally are from Pensacola, Florida. And my dad grew up playing junior golf there and eventually went to Vietnam, played college golf at Southern Mississippi. And when he gave up his dream of playing professionally and decided he would get into the club business, he was recommended to come to Michigan for the weather, the strength of the season, the quality of the courses here. So he worked in Detroit as an assistant at 2 clubs, at Meadowbrook and at Franklin Hills. Eventually came to Blythefield in Belmont, Grand Rapids area, and was there at Blythefield almost 30 years. And that's where I was born and grew up. And I mean, what a great place to learn the game and get to know everyone there in golf.
Yeah, it's a great spot in Michigan. We have family in Grand Rapids and use every excuse possible to go visit. So it's a lot of fun there. So here you are now at Boyne Highlands at the Heather Golf Course. And I imagine you've played it.
I've played it. Probably my best memory is the State Pro-Am, playing here with my dad. And I think we were runners-up here for the 2-round tournament. This would have been when I was playing college golf, so maybe around 2000. And, yeah, it was fun. I mean, I think, it's easy to let my dad take it because he was playing so well at that time. But I think I kicked in a few birdies for him and helped the team. Yeah, we've We've had some special rounds together. I'm probably one of the few people out there, because I know for a lot of young golfers, the first time they beat their dad is like a big milestone, and I'm not sure that's happened for me yet. But we we had a good time, and now that he's playing the tees a couple sets up from me, he's still beating his age, and it's awesome to watch.
And I think the last time we saw you was in California at the Riviera for the U.S. Amateur, where you had a couple of really great players.
Right. I've been lucky to visit some great places and see a lot of USGA championship.
Well, one of your early jobs was at a pretty famous club in these parts at Inverness. Tell us a little bit about that job.
Right. Right after Notre Dame, I was actually lucky enough to be the assistant coach for 2 years at Notre Dame. And then my wife was in medical school at the University of Michigan at the time, and we were driving back and forth on weekends. And a position at Inverness opened up, which made sense for our family. And I had never been around a golf course that tough and that historic for that period of time. And so the membership there appreciated that course and knew they had something really special. And so to be around that for a full year was just a great experience.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah. So your coaching experience really started at Notre Dame before you then went to University of Michigan.
Right. Yeah. At Notre Dame, they hired a new coach my senior year, and we just got along phenomenally. And at that time, it wasn't even common for Division I programs to have assistant coaches. But they were coming along, and Notre Dame said that they would add one within a few months of graduation for me, and it was offered to me, and we tried to make something special out of it. It was really a great time.
Yeah, it sounds like a lot of fun. And University of Michigan, you also had some roots there, obviously, with your wife.
Right. My wife was in school right there on campus. I had gotten to know Andrew Sapp, who was the head coach at Michigan at the time, taking over for Jim Karras. And Andrew was in need of an assistant, and really it was one of those things where I was in the right place at the right time. And Andrew and I had 5 just great years together. He was so helpful to me.
So you became the coach. How did being an assistant make a difference in your life as a coach?
Well, as the assistant coach, I think in some ways you're closer to the players, but you also get to sit back and listen and watch. Ultimately, the final decisions rest with the head coach, and there's a lot of pressure and responsibility that goes with that. So it's just observing, I think, and I tried to learn as much as I could. But it also gives you a chance, at least for me as an assistant, to go out and get more education. So I was always really interested in instruction and teaching, and so I was trying to go and visit as many great instructors as I could to see what they did with their players to help them get better.
So who's one of the great instructors you remember from that period?
Well, I mean, for me, another Michigan guy, I grew up going to see Henry Young with my dad at Treetops, who taught Rick Smith. And another instructor who was really special to me is Dick Drager, a Michigan native, teaches at Barton Hills now. But Dick grew up with Jim Flick and Bob Toski in the Golf Digest schools, and he made a really big impression on me, too. We met at Inverness, actually.
Oh, no kidding. Okay. Yeah, those are all big names. That's very cool. It's interesting. But at University of Michigan, you had some players that have stood out. I can think of a couple, but tell me a couple that you know. At University of Michigan, you had some players that have stood out. I can think of a couple, but tell me a couple that you know.
Starting in the beginning, we had a lot of guys who were from Michigan. We had, I'm going to leave out a bunch of guys, but Bill Rankin and Nick Pumford were 2 guys early on who had played other team sports and knew what they wanted our team culture to be, and they worked so hard to earn the success that they had. But, along after those guys came Lion Kim, who was a really highly touted junior player and helped us go to the semifinals. Kyle Mueller probably ended up being our record holder in a lot of ways. Matt Thompson, Jack Schultz. I mean, we had a bunch of great players. It was really fun.
One of the first ones I remember meeting is Nick Carlson.
Right. Yeah, Nick Carlson from West Michigan. He packs a punch for a small guy, and he's probably best known for the 2016 USAM at Oakland Hills. And there are a lot of guys with the game to play like that, but to do it in those circumstances was just unbelievable to watch. And I mean, I know he's capable of doing even more. So it was awesome.
I think he was runner-up, if I'm not mistaken.
He went to the semifinals, lost to Curtis Luck in extra holes, with a chance to go to the final match. Yeah.
That's right. Well, I remember being there and remember he basically just collapsed on the green.
Right. Yeah, Nick's one to wear his emotions on his sleeve. You never had to wonder what he was thinking. Riviera was the USAM, and we had a couple players in that field, and I remember we went out and stayed with a U of M alum right there in Beverly Hills. I mean, talk about great sites for championships. But, you know, Kyle Mueller went to the match play there. He went to match play at the USAM a couple times along with Nick Carlson. So we were starting to get comfortable, you know, being in the room with just 16 or 8 guys left in the tournament, which is fun at a USGA championship. But, yeah, that's a special place to me because my dad led the PGA championship there in 1983 after 2 rounds as a club pro, which was a big story at the time. And then when he played the senior tour and I was in high school, I went back and caddied for him all 4 rounds at the U.S. Senior Open there where we made the cut. So I've had a couple special trips to Riviera.
We're at the U.S. Amateur at Riviera Country Club at the round of 32, and with us is Nick Carlson from the Michigan Wolverines. How you doing, Nick?
Good. Thanks for having me today.
Well, it's kind of fun watching your teammate play in this round of 32, but you sort of liked the course at Bel Air yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, I like coming out here to support Kyle, and he did it for me last year when I made my run and was out there to cheer me on and do everything he can. And, you know, he's a great teammate and a great friend, so I'm glad I can do it as well. And, yeah, I liked Bel Air a lot and just unfortunately couldn't get it done in the medal play, but I'm happy to be here right now.
For our viewers, we should mention that you were in the semifinals at Oakland Hills, and yesterday you were playing with Brad Dalkey.
No, we had a lot of fun yesterday, or 2 days ago, because it was the 3 semifinalists that didn't turn pro. So, you know, the 3 of us had a ball out there, and 3 great players. So it was a fun 2 days.
Well, you had a great year last year. You won your first tournament after being in the semifinals at Oakland Hills, and look forward to this year. How many more years of eligibility do you have?
So yeah, I came back and like 2 weeks later after the USAM and won my first collegiate event, and you know, it was very cool to do that and keep the momentum going throughout the season of playing really good golf. And so I have 2 years left, and really looking forward to every opportunity that I have.
One thing we should mention is you got a note from Arnold Palmer. Tell us about what that was like.
Oh gosh, it was just pure joy and excitement, and you know, it's even hard to not cry because I mean it just meant a lot. And it was 2 weeks after he had passed away, and wrote it 2 weeks before he passed away. So it took a month to get to me, and being in Ann Arbor and stuff like that. So I think that made it even that much more special. And it was truly an honor to get, you know, words from the King.
The King who won the U.S. Amateur in 1954.
Yep. At the Country Club of Detroit, so not too far away from Oakland Hills where it was at. So it made it even more special.
We're at Riviera Country Club during the round of 32 at the U.S. Amateur with the coach of one of the guys who's in this run. Chris Whitten is the coach at University of Michigan. Tell us what it's like watching your player in this match.
Right. Well, we've been lucky to have somebody go to match play 3 years in a row now, between Kyle 2 years ago, Nick Carlson last year, and Kyle again. So it's different for me as a coach to be outside the ropes watching them this way, but it's fun, and this match has been back and forth the whole way. So a little bit stressful, but it's great to be in the situation.
Which course is better for Kyle, the Bel Air or the Riviera?
I was not over at Bel Air earlier in the week, but Patrick, our assistant coach who's on the bag, and Kyle both said that they prefer Riviera. Kyle's great off the tee and with his longer clubs, and I think this course gives him a chance to use that a little bit.
Ah, I see. That makes a difference. So, with Nick in the semifinals last year, he's out washing. Tell us how the teammates support each other.
Yeah, they're awesome. I mean, team culture is such a big deal for us, and we all know golf's an individual sport, but at Michigan we make it a team sport in every chance we get. So, yeah, Nick was knocked out earlier than he wanted to be, but he doesn't have any other plans than watching his buddy and cheering him on. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it was interesting, but you also had a Big Ten team at French Lick.
Right. Yeah, we went to the Big Ten Championship at French Lick Resort for a couple years in a row, and we would play the Big Ten Championship in April at that time, and college golfers are used to playing in some bad weather. But man, we got some. It's such a tough course, and when you combine tough weather with it, that was a place that we would try to mentally prepare for well in advance, and it was such a challenge down there.
Were you playing on the die course?
Yeah, we were on the die course up on top of the mountain. It felt like we were on top of the moon sometimes. But you just wouldn't think that a property like that exists in Indiana. But it was a beautiful place, and the Big Ten's had just awesome venues for that championship for a long time.
Yeah, it must have been a highlight of the career for those college players.
Right. I mean, to be forced to prepare to hit some of the shots and battle some of the things that you do there, that was real championship golf.
Oh, it is. No question about it. In fact, in some ways, the amateur tournaments are more exciting, more fun, because you're seeing the present and the future.
Yeah, I mean, we've got such a wide swath of players. We have a 15-year-old in the Sweet 16 this year who just played match play for the first time ever yesterday in the round of 64. And then we've got former college golfers who are well into their career but keep golf a priority, and some of them are playing the best golf they've ever played. So it's fantastic.
Were you playing on the die course? Yeah, that's really some interesting history. Well, you've had a really busy career, but then you made a big change. So now tell us about your beginnings with the GAM.
I mean, I grew up with the GAM, playing in these championships and knowing some of the people associated. Grand Rapids has always had a special connection to the GAM. Even though we're located in Detroit, we're really serving the whole state. And it was an opportunity to stay in golf, but in some ways to spread my circle, right? And with 60,000 members, 45 governors who serve the GAM as volunteers, as a nonprofit, just to get to meet more people in the game in my home state, it felt like a kind of a lifelong career move to get to make a positive difference.
Well, the volunteers are an unsung but huge part of GAM tournaments. Talk about those a little bit.
It's like I said, we're a nonprofit organization really led by the volunteers, and some of those are governors, some are officers. Probably for most of our players, you know our course raters and our tournament officials the best. And the culture that these guys have developed, the jokes that go back and forth on the radio, on the earpiece, they are such a great group of guys, and they take this very seriously. I mean, this is important stuff to them, and there's no way we could do it without them.
Yeah, it's fun. But so GAM has, as you mentioned, 60,000 members?
Right, close to 60,000. Those are adults and juniors combined. But I mean, Michigan is it's a huge golf state. For people love being outdoors in Michigan in a lot of different ways. It's a short season, but we have, I think, the third or fourth most golf courses of any state in the country, which continues to boggle my mind. But it just shows how much people love the game here, and I think that membership will keep growing as we can provide more services and more benefits to members. I think more and more people will be even motivated to come and join us.
So as you're taking over the GAM, what are some of your additional goals and strategies for increasing that membership?
Right. Always adding benefits, but I think we're trying to grow the game at the grassroots level. It's connecting with current golfers, number one, but also finding new golfers or welcoming people back to the game who tried it at one time and then either became too busy or gave it up. And so in some ways our foundation is helping with that. The GAM Foundation was formed about 5 years ago, and we've started a program. We're hosting a program originated in California called Youth on Course. And Youth on Course partners with public golf courses to allow our members, junior members, to play the course for just $5 per round. And by taking the financial barrier away, we think we're expanding the base for golf in the future.
That's got to help a lot. What are the ages for junior players?
Between 6 and 18. So last year we had over 4,500 junior members, and the GAM sent out, I think, about $90,000 in reimbursement checks to those facilities who hosted them, and we do that all through fundraising, getting back to those volunteers. These are people who are given time, making donations, but all of our members, a lot of our tournament players make donations too.
Yeah, that's really kind of amazing to think of all that. So how does one become a volunteer?
You start out visiting gam.org, and it's going to point you in the direction to volunteer. There are a couple different buckets. The course raiders are a really special group and kind of an unsung, unheralded group. They visit golf courses to, some people think the course raiders are ranking their favorite courses, but they're out applying the USGA rating system so that the handicap system works appropriately. So when you see your slope and course rating, that was determined by our team of volunteers taking measurements and ratings on the course. So that's a technical group, and there's a lot of education that goes with that, but a lot of people really love that time. And then on the tournament side, there is some rules background, but we bring them along as we go. So we can take people who with no education really and start them out as a shadow at a tournament to learn the ropes and do some rules classes in the off season so they're ready to go the next spring.
Wow, and that's a lot of people to keep track of.
Yeah, and I don't have to do all of that, but with our different departments, there's a way for everybody to get involved.
So here you are now at Boyne Highlands at the Heather Golf Course, and I imagine you've played it.
I've played it. Probably my best memory is the State Pro-Am, playing here with my dad, and I think we were runners-up here for the 2-round tournament. This would have been when I was playing college golf, so maybe around 2000. And yeah, it was fun. I mean, I think, it's easy to let my dad take it because he was playing so well at that time, but I think I kicked in a few birdies for him and helped the team.
We had our round of 16 and our round of 8 today. It's been a challenge all week because we had some rain early in the week, but we've caught up, and tomorrow morning will be the semifinals in the morning around 7:30, 8 o'clock, and the final match right after that. Well, they'll let them eat lunch for a little bit, but then they got to go right back out and play. We've got in one side of the brag, we got 4 guys left. There's two Spartans. A Spartan stalwart who's kind of one of their best players, James Pyatt. He's from Canton. He's on the top of the brag. He was one of the co-medalists, so he's the top seed. He's going to play August Meekoff, who's from Eastmanville, which is right by Allendale, Grand Rapids area. And he's 18 years old. He won't be 19 until July 3rd. He's going to take on James Pyatt, who he'll be his teammate next year. And so that's one interesting. So there'll be a Spartan in the final either way. And then on the other side, we got Tyler Kopp. He plays at Mercer College in Georgia. And then we've got Logan Price, who plays at Florida Gulf University. And he's from Grand Blanc, and Tyler's from Ann Arbor originally, but they went south to play their college golf. So we have 4 college guys. Those 2 are going to meet in the second match. And then the winners that come out of that are going to play for the championship in the afternoon, and we'll have a new Michigan Amateur champion. Hi, it's Greg Johnson, reporting for the Golf Association of Michigan at the 109th Michigan Amateur at Boyne Highlands Resort. We have a final. Tyler Kopp from Ann Arbor. He beat James Pyatt from Canton, 2-1 in the championship match. It was a close match early. Mr. Pyatt fell behind by a few holes and a couple loose drives and lost a few holes by making bogeys. But he rallied back and and got close, but not close enough. And Tyler just kept hitting it on the green and making nice pars, and made a great par save on the 14th hole, and really secured the match at that point and won 2-1. Both guys won their semifinals to get to the final. James Pyatt beat August Meekoff. James Pyatt's going to be a senior at Michigan State. He beat August Meekoff, who is an incoming freshman recruit in golf. He's from Eastmanville over by Grand Rapids, and he beat him 4-3. Tyler Kopp got to the final. Tyler got off to just kind of hit it in the fairway and hit it on the green, and Logan Price, who he was playing from Grand Blanc, started hit his first drive out of bounds, had some troubles, got behind, and eventually Tyler won 7-5. So he was done fairly early. We went early with the championship match just a little bit after noon, and they played in about 3 hours, which is amazing. Pretty fast players, very good players. And so about 3 p.m. we were done, and we crowned a champion, and Mr. Kopp is your 109th amateur champion, and he has the Staghorn Trophy to prove it.
Carl's Golfland's our presenting sponsor this week. That family has been so involved in amateur golf a long time, and Casey Baker's played in our championships. They make a point to support at the tournaments every year. And Boyne is one of our continuous sponsors. I mean, just to host and have us here for a whole week, house the players, we couldn't do it without support across Michigan, and they're allowing us to do it. We're grateful.